Greetings and welcome to another impressions video here at Words About Games, and today we're going to be looking at Spiritfarer. Spiritfarer is a narrative-driven management game where you play as Stella, who, along with her trusty cat and sidekick Daffodil, takes on the titular role of the Spiritfarer, the person who ferries the souls of the departed across the seas of the afterlife and into the next world. Spiritfarer is a game about dying. Given its premise, that should hardly be a surprise. It even says so in the first sentence of its store page description. As Stella, you take on the role of Spiritfarer, with all the responsibilities that entails, ferrying souls around on your recently acquired boat, building them homes to make their journeys more comfortable, learning new skills from them, helping them complete their unfinished business, and finally, transporting them to the Everdoor, a huge mythical archway where spirits can pass through to the afterlife when they're ready. But Spiritfarer isn't a depressing or downbeat game, despite its premise and themes. And it doesn't tackle death the way most of its contemporaries do, having you mercilessly slaughter nameless and faceless NPCs in the name of progress without so much as a second thought, until the game is ready to attempt to emotionally manipulate you into feeling bad for the murders it facilitates and encourages. Instead, this is a beautiful treatise on other aspects of death. Each of the spirits you pick up to ferry around, who transform into anthropomorphized animals when you do so, are fully fleshed out characters with their own storylines. Each usually revolves around helping them come to terms with the lives they've lived, rather than focusing on the fact that they're dead. Spiritfarer uses this to tell emotionally resonant mini-stories in amongst the management gameplay and exploration, and there hasn't been a single character I've met who hasn't endeared themselves to me. From Gwen confronting her difficult childhood to Atul's never-ending optimism and love of food. A big part of your own journey through Spiritfarer is making your passengers as comfortable as possible. As you go, you'll be constantly unlocking new buildings and upgrades for your boat, gardens and fields to grow resources, foundries and mills to turn other resources into useful crafting materials, a kitchen for cooking food, and, eventually, homes for each of your fares, which can be further upgraded with decorations and personalizations to improve the mood of their inhabitants. It sounds like a lot, and when you start really getting into the game, it kind of is. But rather than other management-type games of the same ilk, there's very little pressure to be found in Spiritfarer. Despite juggling the needs of watering your crops, exploring the world, refining your resources into useful crafting materials, cooking food, completing quests, and much more, you're never under a time crunch. Spiritfarer is designed so that you can take as much or as little time as you want to do anything you feel like doing. Where other management games quickly teach you to be as efficient as possible for maximum success, in Spiritfarer, the world revolves around your own timekeeping. For example, the most efficient time to fish off the back of your boat would be during travel, when the ship is moving automatically between two locations. But Spiritfarer isn't particularly interested in efficiency. Crops that need watering don't go bad if you leave them for too long. Food you have cooking doesn't burn if you ignore it. Characters don't get impatient if you take your time getting around to their requests. It's cozy, and despite the heavy themes of the game's narrative, a really pleasant and relaxing experience. Even calling it a management game, while an accurate representation of what you'll spend the majority of your time doing, is a bit of a misnomer. Spiritfarer has a lot of things going on outside of expanding the number of buildings on your ship and tending to their various needs and the needs of your passengers. You'll be exploring the sea to find new resources and new islands. You sail through floating swarms of jellyfish and jump into them to pop them for resources, help a dragon by platforming across its back to remove the quartz stuck in its hide, sail through lightning storms and platform around your ship to literally catch lightning in a bottle. You'll also be unlocking new traversal abilities as you go, such as a double jump or a glide, allowing you to access even more areas of previously visited islands, which can somewhat help take the sting out of the backtracking you'll be doing, which is a lot. You can also upgrade your boat in a variety of ways, whether you're upgrading your crafting station to unlock new building types, or making your boat bigger, or outfitting it with upgrades that let you explore new parts of the world. There's a lot to do in Spiritfarer, and it all either feeds back into the game's narrative or the resource-driven management of your boat, or sometimes both. But you can take it at your own pace, as efficiently as you want, and in any order you particularly desire. As wonderfully compelling as the core gameplay loop of exploration and upgrading is, the beautiful character stories are the game's highlight. Almost everything you're doing is in service of looking after the characters that find a home with you. You house them, feed them, help them with their problems, and try to keep their spirits up. There's even a hug button, allowing you a sweet and tender moment of compassion, and it's absolutely something I needed in a video game in 2020. All of this makes you care a lot for the characters you ferry around, which makes it very difficult when it's time for them to leave. It's the elephant in the room. You're transporting these characters to their final destination, and when they've done everything they need to do, they'll move on to the afterlife, and you'll have to say goodbye. Again, rather than feeling depressing or necessarily downbeat, these are moments of true beauty. They're sad, for sure, but there's a lot of optimism and hope spread throughout the game, even when its characters are confronting the darker parts of their past or saying goodbye for the final time. And it's that optimism and sense of hope that endears these characters and this world to you so strongly. After my first passenger passed through the Everdor, I returned to my ship, strode past the helm, past the crops that needed watering, past Atul who wanted to stop me to request some pork chops yet again, past the many small tasks that needed to be complete. I went to the now departed cabin, still filled with the wall decorations and desk that I had built for them during their travels together, and I sat in a chair for a while and stroked Daffodil, letting the sun set while I contemplated life and death. Then I went back outside and hugged my friends. Spiritfarer is amazing, pure and simple. It's got a deeply compelling gameplay loop at its core of exploring to find resources, of upgrading your ship to make use of those resources and allow you to find even more, and then travel further to find even more resources. But it's never pressuring. You're always in control, and you can play however you like. This gameplay is punctuated by some excellent writing and a cast of wonderful characters who choose to call your boat home, with some truly beautiful moments and touching interactions. Thanks very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, consider sticking around here at Words About Games. Our content includes review impressions of games big and small, a weekly podcast dedicated to discussing the happenings in and around the games industry, weekly opinion videos, reactions, debate-driven top 5 and top 10 lists, a regular Hall of Fame series where we discuss our favourite games, and indie game spotlights. We also stream every Friday and Saturday at twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. Most importantly, have a brilliant day.